GVSU is traveling up north to face Northern Michigan. We got another GLIAC matchup between two teams that I'm extremely excited to talk about. We have on paper GVSU, in my opinion, is the much better team. They're a top 10 team in the country. They're obviously going to be pretty heavy favorites going into this game, if we're going to be completely honest with each other. And this is a GVSU team that their only loss so far is to Pittsburgh State, another top 10, top 15 team in the country. You have Northern Michigan right now that is looking for their first win of the year. Now, they do have talented players. They do have guys that they can get the ball to that I think you will definitely want to keep an eye on for. But if you look at just on paper and just how these two teams set up, I think you just have to look at what GVSU does well versus what Northern Michigan does well. And if you look at both of those, you truly see that this is going to be a game, in my opinion, GVSU is going to win. Because what Northern Michigan does really well is run the ball. That's been primarily their offense this year, 228 yards on average per game. And it truly starts with, obviously, a guy that I've talked a lot about when I've talked about Northern Michigan, Noah Dubert. He's been by far their best running back that Northern Michigan has. You also have Jai Wood as well that is having a little bit of involvement. Austin Riddle as well. But it's going to truly be Noah Dubert that's going to be the guy that's going to get a lot of these carries, a lot of these yards. 500 yards on the year so far, 3 touchdowns. He's a guy that's averaging almost 100 yards per game. And this is an offense, like I mentioned, averaging almost 200 yards on the ground for running the ball. So he's almost half the amount of yards that they have specifically in the running back room. You obviously have key contributions in the other running backs, but it's going to be mostly him that's going to take the bulk of the carries. Now, if you look at what GVSU does very well, they're very good at stopping the run. That's primarily the strength of this defense, only averaging 84 yards per game. When we've seen Northern Michigan struggle to put up points, it's been when they haven't been able to get the run game going. And because of that, because of this defensive line for GVSU, because that is truly their strength of this team so far from what we have seen, only averaging 2.5 yards an attempt, I truly think that this might be a decently long day for Northern Michigan. Now, obviously, if Northern Michigan can get a little bit more involved in the passing game, I would be really interested to see what Northern Michigan does there. Obviously, that's not necessarily what they're most known for this year, but you do have some guys that have had some decent games. You have Isaac Olson. He has 121 yards. Sebastian Boya has 108 yards. As you can truly tell, they're not really a very pass-heavy offense, which, again, if they were a little bit, I would be a little bit more positive and excited about this matchup because I think that if they were able to attack through the air, there's some success to be had there. This GVSU defense, while it has been really good, teams have been able to attack them a little bit through the air. 224 yards, 6 and almost a half yards per attempt. They've given up 6 touchdowns all year through the air, given up 3 through the ground. So if you look offensively, I think that this Northern Michigan team might struggle quite a bit against this GVSU defense. Now, obviously, we need to flip that and look at what GVSU offensively does compared to Northern Michigan. While we talked a lot about Northern Michigan being able to run the ball, while they're decent at stopping the run, the one thing about this GVSU offense is that, yes, they're better at running the ball than maybe their defense is stopping the run. It's still going to be able to have a decent balance between run and pass. And when you have a decent balance, 230 yards to 146 yards, that obviously plays a huge factor in a game because you can't just solely rely on one thing or the other. Your offense is going to stall. Now, there's been times where this GVSU offense has stalled, where it's been a little bit of an issue, but that was more against Pittsburgh State, that type of defense. I don't necessarily think this Northern Michigan team is that type of defense. And then you also have a duo of quarterback with a guy in Andrew Schuster and Brady Drogosh. Brady had a pretty big game against Davenport. I believe he had 3 rushing touchdowns. I believe at least he had a few. He has 122 yards on the ground as well. You kind of add this duo of Andrew and Brady. Andrew's kind of the more throwing type of quarterback. We've seen it with Ferris State. We've seen it with the other teams. When you have a duo that you can truly rely on at the quarterback position, a guy a true runner, a guy that's a true passer, I think Brady can do both. But I think that's going to be kind of the way that GVSU really approaches things going forward. If you can have that, that just adds a whole nother wrinkle to what this offense can be. And then you obviously have playmakers on this offense as well. There's a true reason why you have a GVSU team that is averaging basically 400 yards of offense for the most part. Like, there's a reason why this team averages 36 points a game. This defense only gives up a little less than 20 points a game. There's a reason why this is a top 10 team in the country, because they have talent. They're able to play good defense. They're able to convert on offense when they're given opportunities. And I feel like that's going to be a huge factor. I think that's going to be a big reason why GVSU wins this game. Now, there's a few reasons why I can see that they don't. And the main reason in this game is that you look at just kind of time of possession. I feel like that's one thing that isn't talked enough about, time of possession. If Northern Michigan wants to win this game, they have to continue to do what they have been doing, and that's having average 34 minutes of time of possession. Sometimes the best defense is keeping an offense on the field, keeping the ball. And I feel like that's going to have to be one thing that Northern Michigan's going to have to do. They're going to have to be successful at staying on the field, keeping GVSU's offense off the field, and taking care of the ball. If they can do that, I feel like this could be a closer game. Unfortunately, they've been kind of doing a lot of time of possession type games, averaging 34 minutes more than any other team, and they haven't been successful at it, unfortunately. So because of all those factors, I'm going to again go with GVSU to win this game. Obviously, the travel up north can affect it, but I think this GVSU team will come out prepared. I do think this Northern Michigan team will obviously fight back in this game, but I think GVSU gets the win in this one and continues undefeated play in the GLIAC. But yeah, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Please let your friends, family, all of them know about it as well. And I will recap this game after it happens on Saturday.